Welcome to our video on the introduction on localizing neurologic lesions. Let's begin. First, let's see this illustration of the corticospinal tract. The corticospinal tract consists of two motor neurons. Here is the upper motor neuron, also called the first-order neuron, and the lower motor neuron, also called the second-order neuron. Please note these two neurons synapse at the anterior horn of the spinal cord. However, the tract itself decussates at the medullary pyramid. The upper motor neuron lesion is a lesion to the first-order neuron in the corticospinal tract. This lesion can be located in the cerebral cortex, subcortex, such as the internal capsule or thalamus, brainstem, or spinal cord. The symptoms and signs of the upper motor neuron lesion include spasticity and exaggerated deep tendon reflexes, or hyperreflexia. Babinski's sign can also be detected in the setting of a UMN lesion. On the other hand, the lower motor neuron lesion is a lesion to the second-order neuron in the corticospinal tract. This can affect the anterior horn cells in the spinal cord or peripheral neurons. The symptoms and signs of lower motor neuron lesions include flaccid weakness and muscle fasciculations. Muscle atrophy is prominent too. On the physical examination, deep tendon reflexes are diminished or absent. Next, let's look at the illustration of spinothalamic tract. This tract carries the sensory information of crude touch, pain, temperature, and pressure to the cerebral cortex. It consists of three neurons as opposed to the corticospinal tract. Here is the first-order neuron, followed by the second-order neuron, then the third-order neuron that reaches out to the cerebral cortex. The first two neurons synapse at the dorsal horn of the spinal cord, while the second and third-order neurons synapse in the thalamus. Please note that the spinothalamic tract decussates in the spinal cord, forming the anterior white commissure of spinothalamic fibers. Let's also take a look at this illustration of the dorsal column medial lemniscus pathway. It carries the sensory information of light touch, proprioception, and vibratory sensation to the cerebral cortex. Like the spinothalamic tract, it consists of three neurons. The first and second order neurons synapse in the medulla at the nucleus gracilis and the nucleus cuneatus, while the second and third order neurons synapse in the thalamus. Finally, this pathway decussates in the medulla, where the axons of second-order neurons form the medial lemniscus. Let's end this introduction with the discussion of ipsilateral versus contralateral manifestations. In general, if the neurologic lesion is located at or above the decussation site of any of the tracts we already discussed, the patient will present with contralateral manifestations. On the other hand, if the neurologic lesion is located below the decussation site of the tract, the patient will present with ipsilateral manifestations, and that concludes the section.